Hey, JK, can you hear me? It was perfect. All right. Hmm, sure. Oh, crap. All right. Yeah, let's get started.
Let's fucking go. Broken the paradigm, an example must be set. Invoke the siren song and sign the death warrant. This is what has been wrought for 30 pieces of silver. The tongues of men and angels bought by a beloved betrayer. I am the result, what's but a left unspoken. Violence begins to mend what was broken. Give it again. I'm words meant to dwell in darkness shall never see the light of day. Words can be broken, so can bones. Execute the mandate. Mouthful of dirt, your name is removed from the registry. Saint Peter Grace with empty eyes and turns and locks the gate. I am the result, what's but a left unspoken. Violence begins to mend what was broken. Give it again. I'm Whoever appeals to the law against his fellow man is either a fool or a coward. Whoever cannot take care of himself without that law is first. For a wounded man shall say to his assailant, if I live, I will kill you. If I die, you are forgiven. Such is the rule of honor.
Hello, and thank you for joining me. This is the Frog Show. I am your host for this evening, as usual, B Squared. It is absolutely an honor and privilege to have you all as my viewers. Honored to fight for America and express my beliefs, trying so desperately to save humanity. At the same time, it's quite concerning to see this world that the elite are trying to create for us. This dystopian nightmare that we've known was coming for so long. Thank you for joining me. So far, I'm just seeing JK. No big deal. Thank you. Um, so we're gonna do things a little different this week. Well, let's just say one of my biggest issues with recording has been resolved, at least for the time being. So that's good. We'll see how things go in the future. Um, Obviously, the thumbnail is in reference to the failed assassination attempt on Trump. Um, it's kind of clickbait. I'm not really going to get into that. It seems like there's a lot of bullshit getting thrown out there to muddy the waters as far as people trying to figure out the truth as to what the hell is going on. I can say there's about 70 fucking red flags with the whole scenario. Um, Naturally, to question the story should be natural for anybody. Um, see here. So I didn't really want to get into it. I figure we'll let time pass a little bit. I've definitely got my theories, and there's definitely things that I've noticed, but I like to give shit a little bit of time. Yeah, it's been a week, but I'll give it a little bit more time. Before we start getting into that, we had the with the RNC, which I was not very impressed with. I did make plans to go, and then I kind of decided not to. Um, I guess I kind of remembered that, you know, Democrats and Republicans are, both parties are fucking corrupt. Uh, Not too many people know this about the RNC, but it's literally separated into two different buildings. You've got, all the mainstream shit, and then just about any real journalist, that isn't mainstream, they all get sent to the other building. And then, where all the main shit's going on, you've got mainstream media. I don't remember who exactly. I think it was CNN, maybe it was MSNBC. I don't quite remember that they were literally using a green screen and pretending they were at the RNC. Um, then there was, some talk about Trump's speech on Thursday. I personally have mixed feelings on it. You know, I the opinion has come. The opinion of, it's seeming like Trump is kind of like, okay, I'm ready to, cooperate now with the deep state, basically. Now that they tried to kill him. Um, all that being said, I've said it before that they have already tried to assassinate him. It's just not common knowledge. So, as far as I'm concerned, no. He's not gonna just fold like that to the deep state. You don't come all this fucking way just to fucking give up. That's not who Trump is, and I don't believe that's who any of his fucking followers are. I think it's important to keep in mind that he literally just got fucking shot in the air and was almost fucking killed. That might have something to do with a little bit of a change in his demeanor. Also, you have to keep in mind that he's the main focus is the election. We have to get as many fucking votes as possible, and so he may be toning it down a little bit in hopes to sway more liberals. Um, I don't really think that's necessary, considering there's already plenty that are now switching over to Trump. Uh, that you can just see that through social media, reading posts and comments, and there's a lot of people that are now going to be voting for Trump. So yeah, that's that. Trident, thank you for coming in. So yeah, uh, on to the title of the show, the greatest story, the greatest show of all time. That's it. Okay, greatest story. It's something I've been wanting to share with you guys for quite some time, and I haven't been able to. Now I finally got past one obstacle in recording. So yeah, the greatest show on earth. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy the music. This was an extreme pain in my ass to put together. Um, it would be way easier for me to just record it and post it. Unfortunately, well, I've done that, not with this, but I've done that just recently, and the video is not coming out how I'd like it to. It comes out like a short, but and like a short, and the video was all small. So I don't know. I'll have to dick around with that. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy the show. You'll notice I've mentioned a decent amount of things that we will go over. The documentary is an hour and a half. We're not going to be watching the whole thing. I think I got about half of it. So, yeah, enjoy. Here we go. I will, down the road, maybe next week, um, do the credits, which not very many. I think it's like two people that put it together, two, maybe three people. But I'd like to at least give them credit for their work. So we'll probably do that next week. Anyways, uh, Mello, thank you for stopping in. You got Jerry Ward. Okay, that's everybody I see. All right, you guys. Please, I hope you enjoy.
Yes, we can.
Former President Barack Obama, the great deceiver, instilled so much hope in the public.
Are you ready to go?
Yet, as time unraveled, more and more of his word became a lie, and a setup for the deep state to roll out a massive depopulation agenda was further established. One that would have carried on had Hillary won the 2016 election. The Georgia Guidestones had been set in stone for this Freemason agenda, but over the last 7 years the agenda had been destroyed. Hillary was meant to win. At least the deep state had rigged the election so she would. But they didn't realize how much rigging they'd need to do. Because Trump became so popular, they lost. The corrupt DC establishment had lost touch with reality.
Thank you.
And figured because they had the media in their pocket, they truly thought they would win. Despite the lawsuit with Fox News, Dominion has a proven track record of voter fraud. See Venezuela and how the people reacted when their election was rigged.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to do a quick say before we proceed that instead of focusing on everything that's going on right now, I kind of want to go back and just kind of review everything we've witnessed. I know myself, for example, while Trump was in office, wasn't really paying too much attention. Yeah, I got complicit. Um, Needless to say, that's not going to happen this time around. They mention how they thought for sure that Hillary was going to win, and because they rigged the elections, and we won in 2016 because we overwhelmed their rigged system. There was way too many fucking votes for them to, pull it off. Where obviously in 2020 they were ready. All right, let's continue.
Track record of voter fraud. See Venezuela and how the people reacted when their election was rigged. Or watch Pervywood 9, Volume 2, where I cover the 2020 election rigging in explicit detail. Trump is still commander-in-chief, despite the 2020 election results. And the clues are left in military laws and orders, such as the Military Justice Act, Executive Order 13818, 13848, 13912, and many more. When Trump became president, he would need the aid of the world to eradicate the swamp effectively. And to get this sort of power, he used white mail in order to give corrupt countries and individuals the chance to do the right thing. We had everything. All the documents to prove the human rights violations they had committed, including voter fraud. There has been so much confusion in the truther community regarding Donald Trump. Is he a white hat? Is he a black hat? Are we all being deceived by the great deceiver? What do you think Obama was? The moment presidential power was lost by the deep state in D.C., the military, the Alliance of World Generals, and UN Security Council understood they had 4 years to set the groundwork for the plan that would ultimately drain the swamp and free the world from a future of tyranny under a one-world government. What so many fail to realize or give importance to are the details that show exactly how Trump, through executive orders and laws, took the necessary steps to protect our democratic republic and, more importantly, expose and eradicate the deep state that had been growing like a cancer throughout the world. The U.S. was placed under the crown with the 1871 Organic Act. The bar was quickly established thereafter, and what we know as the U.S. Democratic Republic became a corporation. What the military and Trump are doing now is bankrupting and dismantling that corporation. It may or may not have crossed your path, the famous capitulation tour, where Trump toured the world and met with every superpower and was given a royal display of submission by each one. What would make each superpower submit to Donald Trump? Well, we had everything. Black hats use blackmail, and white hats use white mail, where the latter uses information to force people into wrongdoing. The former uses information to give the chance of right doing. So what if I told you Donald Trump is still commander-in-chief? I can hear loads of people thinking, of course he is. The election was rigged. You are correct, but it goes much deeper than that. I can also hear a crowd of you thinking, well, no, he's not president. And if he is, explain everything. Explain Biden's presidency. Explain the vaccine. Explain why this is happening. There is a big difference between president and commander-in-chief. This film is for believers, and primarily for the doubters. The info is for believers, and primarily for the doubters. The information to be presented can be verified via military executive orders and laws. That means this film isn't purely theoretical. Its majority is based in fact. It's based upon documentation that derives from .gov and .mil websites. This allows viewers to continue their research after the seeds of this film have been planted. Don't just blindly believe what is to be shown here. Let it guide you. By doing your own research, you will earn the reward of understanding and will be better able to explain this to your peers. And the hope you had forgotten will return in greater strength than ever before. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. By the end, you will realize why they say this is the greatest show on earth. To really understand current events, it's important to first get a grasp on the past. The Organic Act of 1871. On February 21st, 1871, the 41st Congress passed legislation entitled An Act to Provide a Government for the District of Columbia. This is known as Act of 1871. By this action, and with no constitutional authority, a separate form of government and constitution was created for the 10 square miles of land known as the District of Columbia, or Washington, D.C. Incorporated. The original U.S. Constitution was entitled the Constitution for the United States of America, Incorporated. The original U.S. Constitution was entitled the Constitution for the United States of America. The Act of 1871 changed that title to read the Constitution of the United States of America. By changing the title and the capitalization of the Constitution, the people were removed from this new Constitution. This new Constitution serves only for the corporation of the United States and not for the people of America. The people now have no rights or freedoms, no ownership of property, no right to travel, no right to marry, no right to do business. They are only debt slaves who must serve the corporation. Slaves have no rights, only privileges and permission to live on their master's property. Should they try in any way to use the corporate constitution, they will be charged with criminal trespass because they are not a party to this private contract entitled the Constitution of the United States of America. Our Constitution explicitly states that no citizen shall pay any direct tax to the federal government. Why are the citizens in all our sovereign states forced to pay federal income tax, which is collected by a foreign corporation of England called the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS? Our Constitution explicitly states that our currency is to be backed fully by gold and silver, and that our banking system is to be under control of the Treasury of the United States of America and the Congress. Why is it that I cannot receive gold or silver coin from my and that our banking system is to be under control of the Treasury of the United States of America and the Congress? Why is it that I cannot receive gold or silver coin from my currency at my bank? Why does our paper money say Federal Reserve note and not gold or silver certificate as it once did? Why are our banks called Federal Reserve banks and not U.S. Treasury banks? Why is the Federal Reserve Bank system owned by a British foreign corporation and controlled by the 13 most wealthy families of our world?
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
Do you understand this is why you are charged fees to travel, to marry, to do business, or even visit corporate parks? Do you understand why you must pay income tax, bank interest, and lose all your collateral in foreclosure? Do you understand why you lose in court? Why your family has no privacy or security? And why the feds are all over the 50 states? The deep state blossomed in Washington, D.C. For over 100 years, it's become a nest bed for highly corrupt, power-seeking individuals, all working for the 13 most wealthy families in the world. This is the swamp. Draining the swamp that's been growing for over 100 plus years requires a multi-layered operation that in order for it to be pulled off, it can't look obvious. It's done. This is the swamp. Draining the swamp that's been growing for over 100 plus years requires a multi-layered operation that in order for it to be pulled off, it can't look obvious. It's done behind the scenes. It requires a lot of thought, planning, organization, and most importantly, time. Why is it taking so long? Have you ever heard of Stockholm Syndrome? It's a condition in which hostages develop a psychological bond with their captors. We are those hostages. The brainwash of 100 plus years has a large portion of the public willing to fight for their captors. To prevent civil upheaval, the operation to take down the deep state had to include the eradication of years of brainwashing propaganda from the collective human psyche.
How dare you!
Thankfully, many are awake. And as of 2023, many more are awakening. Therefore, this operation isn't going to be published on the news. Not yet, at least. But knowing all this allows us to read in between the lines regarding current events, which include military executive orders, national emergencies, Trump's capitulation tour, COVID-19, and January 6th. They don't call this the Great Awakening for nothing. In order to start reading in between the lines and seeing current events with more accuracy, God helped us understand this plan further. With the help of military veteran Derek Johnson, his analysis of sequential events regarding military action and President Trump's executive orders and national emergencies, and even Biden's continuation of those orders, we clearly see Donald Trump is still commander-in-chief, under the continuation of government, also known as devolution. And because of national emergencies kept active by President Biden, which are in complete discordance to what Joe Biden has stood for his entire political career, it's very obvious. Once it clicks, the military, not DC, and with the Constitution put on pause, is in full control. What you're about to see is a detailed outline of military law, executive orders, and Trump's whereabouts throughout the world, all starting from 2015. When put together sequentially, it'll make sense, the order of events that took place to set the stage for the greatest show on earth.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
Department of Defense, The Law of War Manual, June 12th, 2015. Law of War Manual is the Department of Defense's War Manual. It was signed on June 12, 2015. It's a combination of military and federal lawyers who took the Lieber Code of 1863, Geneva Conventions, Hague Conventions, Nuremberg trials, the Law of War manuals from the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, and Australia, and all the strengths of those to strengthen the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is military law. The Golden Escalator. In the moments before his announcement, Trump came down the Golden Escalator at Trump Tower prior to announcing his run for president. What are the odds of that, just 4 days after the Law of War Manual was passed? The Military Justice Act of 2016 was the Supreme Court clarifying military laws and courts are separate from civil laws and courts. It clarifies military personnel are different from civil. Federal Continuity Directive 1, January 17th, 2017. The Federal Continuity Directive 1 was signed 3 days before Donald Trump took office. Looking into the appendix, it defines devolution and reconstitution. To help you understand further, we must understand devolution, also known as reconstitution. Devolution. Devolution is a component of continuity planning that establishes procedures to transfer statutory authority and responsibilities from an organization's primary operating staff and facilities to another designated staff and one or more facilities for the purpose of sustaining essential functions. Devolution may be temporary or may endure for an extended period. A devolution plan is activated upon the threat of or in response to a catastrophic emergency that either renders the organization's primary leadership and operating staff unavailable or leaves them incapable of sustaining essential functions from primary facilities. Reconstitution. Reconstitution is the final phase of a continuity event, the process by which surviving and or replacement personnel resume normal operations and may occur at any designated location that provides the staff, facilities, and systems necessary to sustain essential functions. Just prior to the signing of Federal Continuity Directive 2 on June 13th, 2017, the directive that would actually implement the continuity of government and so much more, Trump embarked on an international tour, famously known as the Capitulation Tour. Saudi Arabia, the sword dance, May 20th, 2017. For Trump to be the only U.S. president to be involved in a Saudi Arabia sword dance is pure symbolism. This was symbolic of going to war together. The history and significance of sword dancing is important to note. The most common arda in Saudi, called the Najdi Arda, initially performed by Arab warriors in the central Najd region of Saudi before meeting their enemies on the battlefield. Sword dancing was a way for the men to display their weaponry and show their heroic spirit. The Najdi Arda also recalls the battles led by King Abdulaziz Al Saud, the founder of Saudi Arabia. Trump came to a Saudi with folders displaying the military had everything on their corruption. The only way out of their heinous crimes was to bend the knee to the U.S. and to capitulate, a vow to bring down the New World Order together. And what better way of showing their submission than with an honorable sword dance? Having Saudi Arabia on board meant the first side of the deep state pyramid had collapsed. 2 days later, Trump would go to Israel to do the same. Israel, May 22nd, 2017. On Monday, May 22nd, President Trump arrived in Israel and was welcomed by President Rivlin. Shortly after arriving, President Trump and Rivlin delivered remarks. Most importantly, President Rivlin proclaimed,
America is back in the area. America is back again.
Israel publicly submitted by allowing the U.S. to move our embassy to Jerusalem and with our military protection. And to this day, Saudi Arabia and Israel are still getting along. Make note that Trump visited the Wailing Wall just prior to Israel moving their embassy. If you've ever heard people falsely claim Trump a Jesuit, this is where the false interpretation comes from. Many researchers are short-sighted. It makes them lazy, and they pause their ambitious research at this wall. Pun intended. They judge the trees, but not the forest, therefore misunderstanding. This was a massive goal in the capitulation tour. What comes next, just 2 days later, is the most important stop of the entire tour, the Vatican. Trump left Israel and flew straight to Rome, May 24th, 2017. Pope Francis would now be shown concrete evidence of human trafficking provided by the new coalition of U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Red lines were drawn in the sand at Rome. The outcome? The Pope submitted to the U.S. publicly in this famous picture.
The Pope wasn't happy. You should find the picture of him visiting the Pope. It took 650 planes to remove our gold from the Vatican Bank.
Think he's always frowning like that? Have a look when Pope Francis was visited by Obama. That same day, Trump flew to visit NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the EU, the European Union. May 25th, 2017. The EU is a unique and essential partner for NATO, as the two organizations share a majority of members, have common values, and face similar threats and challenges. EU leaders publicly submitted when Trump walked in late like a boss. Because now, we had everything. Trump truly was their boss. Both the EU and NATO now realized they have it all, and were instructed to stand down on Brexit and pay more for NATO. Now with the Middle East and European powers of the pyramid submitting, a monumental move forward could happen. That move was the implementation of the continuation of government. Federal Continuity Directive 2, June 13th, 2017. FCD2 outlines requirements and provides checklists and resources to assist federal executive branch departments and agencies in identifying and assessing their essential functions through a risk-based process, and in identifying candidate primary mission essential functions that support the national essential functions. In short, FCD2 provides the implementation protocols for the continuation of government and so much more. Just 4 months later, after getting wind of what Trump was doing, the deep state cabal tried to strike back. The Las Vegas Massacre, October 1st, 2017.
In a matter of seconds, a country music festival turned tragic, a storm of gunfire raining down upon an innocent crowd. Q-Post 117 implied that they tried to take out the new Saudi Arabian Crown Prince bin Salman, who was a good guy in this film. The evil villain? The former Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Al-Walid. It was during the Las Vegas battle that he was neutralized. Al-Walid just happened to control Twitter. Now, we control Twitter, or X. Contrary to what I believed in the past, this points to Elon being a white hat. It's pretty obvious when you pay attention to what he's saying.
Elon, you tweeted this thing about George Soros. Well, I'm looking for it because I want to make sure I quote it properly. But, I mean, you know what you wrote. But you basically...
It reminds me of Magneto's. It's like, calm down, people. This is smart, like, made a federal case out of it.
You also... You said he wants to erode the very fabric of civilization, and Soros hates humanity. Like, when you do something like that, do you
I think that's true. That's my opinion.
Okay, but why share it? Why share it? Especially because, why share it when people who buy Teslas may not agree with you, advertisers on Twitter may not agree with you? Why not just say, hey, I think this. You can tell me. We can talk about it over there. You can tell your friends. But why share it? Why?
This is freedom of speech. I'm allowed to say what I want.
You absolutely are. But I'm trying to understand why you do, because you have to know it's got a... It puts you in the middle of the partisan divide in the country. It makes you a lightning rod for criticism. Do you like that? People today saying he's an anti-Semite. I don't think you are.
No, I'm definitely. I'm like a pro-Semite, if anything.
I believe that probably is the case. Yes. Why would you even introduce the idea then that would be the case?
Listen, we don't want to make this a George Soros interview.
No, God, no. I don't want to at all. But what I'm trying, even came up though in the annual meeting. Do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
The Las Vegas Massacre was a key event, as Trump saved bin Salman's life, as intel had shown Prince Al-Walid was planning to assassinate him. As we mentioned before, we had everything. Now bin Salman owes his life to Trump, which led to the Saudi government overthrow, October 24th, 2017.
All right, so we begin in Saudi Arabia, where Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has detained some of the most high-profile members of the royal family, and that includes former Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef, as well as Prince Ahmed bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, and the younger brother of the Saudi king. All suggests that they have both been accused of treason. The Saudi guards have also arrested one of Mohammed bin Nayef's brothers. They're now likely to be under the threat of life imprisonment or possible execution. Both could have rivaled Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the throne if King Salman died.
Quite a surprising move here by Prince Mohammed. I mean, most of all, this arrest or detainment of Al-Walid. What does this mean for? Let's tackle Al-Walid first. He's being detained. We're not exactly sure where, but what does this exactly mean for him and Kingdom Holding?
23 days later, one side of the pyramid fell completely when Saudi Prince Al-Walid was arrested by Mohammed bin Salman. This happened just 3 weeks after the Las Vegas massacre. Prince Al-Walid owns the top floors of the Mandalay Bay. Intel points to Trump being in Vegas that night, and a few weeks later, the Saudi government gets overthrown. Now the capitulation tour would continue as Trump made his way to Asia for a 13-day, 5-nation tour. Japan, November 4th, 2017. The effect of Trump's visit had the Japanese emperor removed. This was the first in Japanese history. Just 1 month after Trump's visit, the Japanese cabinet finalized their decision and suggested that April 2019 would be a good date for Japanese Emperor Akihito's official abdication.
A sacred ceremony to mark the transition to a new era for the world's oldest continuous monarchy. With 2 of the 3 mysterious imperial regalia, a sword and a jewel, the emperor gave his final speech.
Emperor Akihito was abdicated due to failure of his duties as emperor. And the symbolism of Japan's submission was when they allowed Trump to become the first ever U.S. president to hand out the sumo champion trophy. Alas, another old house family removed from control. South and North Korea, November 7th, 2017. Trump left Japan and flew to South Korea. Just weeks prior to arrival, the nuclear research mountain in North Korea collapsed, killing their nuclear scientist.
During the latest test in September 2017, a bomb believed to have an explosive yield of 100 kilotons set off a powerful explosion. It caused an initial 6.3 magnitude tremor and triggered several more earthquakes in the weeks that followed.
Was this to remove the nuclear threat? Was it to intimidate Kim Jong-un? Could it have been both? What Trump said in his speech to the South Korean Assembly pairs well with what happened in North Korea just weeks prior.
This is a very different administration than the United States has had in the past. Today, I hope I speak not only for our countries, but for all civilized nations. When I say to the North, do not underestimate us and do not try us. I also have come here to this peninsula to deliver a message directly to the leader of the North Korean dictatorship. The weapons you are acquiring are not making you safer. They are putting your regime in grave danger. Every step you take down this dark path increases the peril you face.
It would be only 18 months later that Trump would become the first U.S. president to cross the border into North Korea.
At one of the most militarized borders on Earth, an historic handshake.
Good to see you again. I've never expected to meet you at this place.
A US president, a North Korean leader, and an extraordinary invitation.
If Your Excellency take a step forward, you'll be the first US president to cross this line.
And Donald Trump didn't disappoint. Not just stepping, but positively striding into history books, the first sitting American president to meet a leader in the North.
China, November 8th to 10th, 2017. Trump then flies to China at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping to meet and dine in the Forbidden City. Trump became the first foreign leader to ever dine in the Forbidden City since the founding of modern China. This is a massive act of submission. Remember, Xi Jinping had already visited Trump at Mar-a-Lago for a few days in spring 2017. It's evident China wanted to rid itself of the deep state as well. Later, on November 12, 2017, Trump visits Vietnam. Trump then heads to Vietnam to get Southeast Asian leaders to submit, including Singapore and the Philippines. Trump is placed in the honor position to the right of the Vietnam leader as proof of submission. At the core of it all, it's about stopping trafficking. Philippines submit. On the Council of Foreign Relations website, Joshua Kurlansik writes on Trump and Philippines president having a bromance. He points to Trump making human rights a low priority in Southeast Asia. Joshua writes, "The Philippine president seems to appreciate a U.S. leader who has made human rights a low priority in Southeast Asia and who thus has mostly ignored any criticism of Duterte's undermining of the rule of law. Indeed, the Trump administration has downplayed human rights in all aspects of U.S. foreign policy, including bilateral meetings with foreign leaders and funding for rights and democracy programs within the U.S. government, among other areas." Trump extended his stay to attend another summit, and this marked the end of the Asia tour. And with no coincidence, the Trump administration executive orders, particularly on human rights violations, appeared just 1 month later. Donald John Trump would declare a national emergency with respect to serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world. Before we explore Executive Order 13818, it's best to take a minute to understand what an executive order actually is. Being that only 32% of Americans can accurately name all three branches of government, knowing the importance and meaning of an executive order is imperative, as the coming executive orders of late 2017 and 2018 and beyond are the framework, the blueprint, that has allowed monumental action to take place in taking down the deep state.
Of the pen. With just their signatures, U.S. presidents can issue executive orders, documents that direct the actions of the federal government. They have the force of law. There are limits on the president's ability to issue orders. The order must specify what authority is used to make it, either the Constitution or a law. Executive orders can be overturned. Courts can rule them unconstitutional. Congress can refuse to spend money to carry out an order. Congress can pass legislation to invalidate them. Future presidents can undo an order by issuing a new one. All U.S. presidents except one, William Harrison, who died after 1 month in office, have issued at least one executive order. And some executive orders make history. In issues large and small, presidents use executive orders to shift priorities and change the way the federal government does business.
Executive Order 13818, December 20th, 2017. By Executive Order 13818, the President declared a national emergency with respect to serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world, and pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is 50 U.S. Code 1701. took related steps to deal with the unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. A national emergency is a situation in which a government is empowered to perform actions not normally permitted. The 1976 National Emergencies Act implemented various legal requirements regarding emergencies declared by the President of the United States. Setting an executive order with a national emergency is a very big deal. This executive order was solely based at its core a means to stop the massive human rights violations around the world. As the year ends, Trump begins 2018 with a continuation of the capitulation tour. Davos, Switzerland, January 26, 2018. As we enter 2018, the world leaders understand the plan, and average U.S. citizens are waking up to cue. Trump flies into the lion's den at Davos, Switzerland, with Soros present. All the largest global CEOs and bankers submit to Trump at Davos, and you can see Trump has been given the seat of honor right in the center. The CEOs and bankers understood what you understand now. They knew the U.S. was under military control, and to survive, they had to play ball. Trump stated, "The world is witnessing the resurgence of a strong and prosperous America." And just 2 months after, on a Trump-approved submission trip, Mohammed bin Salman heads to Silicon Valley, a valley where Saudi Prince Al-Walid no longer held superiority. Mohammed bin Salman tours Silicon Valley, March 20th, 2018. With the takedown of puppeteer Al-Walid, Crown Prince bin Salman goes on a Trump-approved submission trip to all the CEOs formerly owned and controlled by the Saudi Arabia side of the pyramid: Google, Apple, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft. Donald Trump has set the chess table properly by assembling a worldwide task force that would essentially team up with the U.S. military to drain the swamp. As Mohammed bin Salman set Silicon Valley straight, Trump came back to the White House and got busy. From January to December of 2018, Donald Trump would publish 37 executive orders, from Executive Order 13820 to Executive Order 13856. The most important order would be 13848. We'll get to that very soon. Trump invites Macron to the White House. Macron is married to one of the deep state, and he worked for the Rothschilds. Yet, he completely submitted to Trump in these photos. Trump has it all, and these leaders are being tasked with cleaning up their deep states, or Trump will declass it all. The Queen submits. July 14th, 2018. The Queen submitted to Trump when she allowed him to walk in front of her during a review of her honor guard. Then, she placed Trump under her sigil in the center position. Then, she had him sit in Winston Churchill's chair. Total submission photos. As Trump continues on his global submission tour, he visits Norway to meet Putin. July 25th, 2018. In that famous summit, Putin throws Trump a soccer ball and says, "The ball is in your court." Absolute submission. The entire world is playing ball now.
All right, and we will end it there. We will go back to Act 5, I guess next week. I did want to just say a few more things. I've been saying for quite some time now that the left, the establishment, the deep state, they are panicked, and we can see that like never before. There's it's almost a certainty that they're going to get rid of Biden because they don't stand a fucking chance with him. At least they don't stand a chance with anybody, honestly. Uh, they've been panicked. We saw the debate where any Democrat that watched learned that for the last 3.5 years the media has been lying to them, yet they will continue on to listen to the media and take everything that they say for fact. That's the true definition of insanity, obviously. So we end up having the immunity, the ruling on the presidential immunity. Once that came through, you hear them twisting it, however they want, using their fucking video game logic. Oh, well, no, Biden can have Trump assassinated. Well, go figure. What, a week later, we have an attempted assassination attempt. So, and then we get to see just how truly unhinged the left is. There's a lot of liberals that lost their jobs in the last week because of stupid ass shit that they were posting on social media. Because they are so emboldened, they believe they can get away with anything because the Democrats are in control. No, they're not. So that was fun to watch. I was thinking about capturing some of that. I forget who. I think it was Libs of TikTok. Excellent channel on X. Has been posting just post after post after post of some liberal being upset that the shooter missed, and well, we notify their workplace, and guess what? Bye. Now, granted, it's not happening with every scenario. People who work for straight up liberal companies, obviously, they're not going to see any repercussions. But you got to keep this in mind. They are emboldened. The media is not backtracking at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's several more attempts. I wouldn't be surprised if, this insane rhetoric. Now, granted, the assassination attempt, I do not believe that was by a lone wolf, by a 20-year-old who just so happens to have pretty much all of his information wiped, with very few exceptions. Yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to get into everything about it, but so regardless, if the media is going to sit there and say every fucking day for how many years that Trump is Hitler, what are the odds that's going to embolden somebody to try to fucking kill him? It's called dangerous rhetoric, which the liberals should be fucking professional. Well, they are professionals on. I mean, they sure know when to call it out. Pretty much anything Donald Trump says. So, with that being said, be careful out there. I expect them to get more and more crazy the closer we get. We've got 107 days left to this fucking election. So be aware of your surroundings. Liberals are not hard to fucking spot. It's obviously I recommend everyone being strapped, but it's great if you have a gun, but make sure you're practicing. Make sure, if you can take classes, take classes. Be prepared. Don't have, all ball ammo. Have fucking hollow points in your fucking in your stash. So yeah, thank you for joining me this evening. Try again. Wow, I haven't seen you in a long ass time. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Justin, I did want to respond to that. As far as Saudi government goes, nothing's happening until Trump is back in office. That's when things change. It's all about perception. Yes, he's still the commander in chief, but it's a fucking movie we're watching. It has to be this way. Things are only going to continue to get worse until we get him back in office. So, yeah, we'll continue with the rest of the greatest show on earth next week. Thank you all for joining me. Keep stacking. Stay strapped. God bless. Beep, boop.